I was originally going to upload one of the other videos I had pre-prepared today, but as I was thinking about it, like last night and Saturday, it didn't quite feel right. And it's mostly because of the day and a large part of my patriotic side talking to me. So instead of one of the videos that you'll get later on, you're going to get this. And really what it is kind of a reflection of what I remember from the 9/11 attacks originally and kind of like where we're at now, I guess, compared to then. Because I was kind of thinking about that in church a little bit and how different things are now versus the way things were back then when that happened. And that's why it didn't quite feel right, because I knew today was kind of like one of those, it can be one of those touchy days for some people because they knew people that were in the Pentagon or in the Twin Towers at the time when it happened. And there are some of those people that they knew that ended up dying because of it. And a lot of people that are well enough, that were like old enough, remember where they were when it happened. My dad was on a train when he heard about it, and he had called my mom up and told her, like, turn the TV on. It's kind of a similar story you hear from a lot of people. Like, they're at work, they're doing this, that, or the other, and then they hear about it and like happen to see it on a TV screen, maybe in a food court or something, and then they call home and say, turn the news on, because it was everywhere at the time when it happened. And I believe that like the Twin Towers had hit and then the Pentagon was hit soon after people had started broadcasting and everything. And then the Twin Towers falling and the dust everywhere and people running from it all. But we happened to be at home at the time when my dad had called up, and for whatever reason, we were all gathered together around one of the TVs at home, like one of the few basically in our small dining area, and turned the TV on, and it was going on. And then my grandfather who was living with us at the time, and was living at the time too, he was working for a brick factory in the area, and they'd heard about the news. And the reaction from like people across the nation, whether they were believing or not, is everybody got together and prayed. In spite of like whatever beliefs there were, everybody prayed together during like the days after. And everybody, like, believe for the most part, like, made sure that their neighbors were okay and everything else, because it was like one of those things that made people worry about their neighbors. It's like, we're not completely safe here like we thought we were, because after 100 years or so of not having wars on our own land, let me think if that's right. Yeah, we haven't really had a land invasion, really, or an invasion at all that way, any direct attacks from another country that way. We've had like maybe psychological attacks, but really for the most part attacks like that had not even been a thing in like over 100 years. And now here we were, not as secure as we thought we were. And even like the changes thereafter, so like from that point on, you had airports. You could actually go up to the terminals in airports without having a flight. And you had like families dropping off their family members at the airport, right up to the terminal, basically saying goodbye right before they boarded the plane. I mean, you look at Salt Lake International Airport, where missionaries would leave to go to wherever or come back, and like family would be right at the terminal, and that is not a thing anymore. And that's partially due to the events from 9/11 happening previously. And the nation really did unite together, and since it's fractured quite a bit. I mean, yes, you still get people that are like, oh, it was an inside job and this, that, and the other. Yet, that one thing united the people in the nation together much more so than even some of the things that have happened recently. Because I know some people like to compare January 6th to 9/11, and it's like January 6th was nowhere near what 9/11 was, because January 6th divided a bunch of people, whereas September 11th united a bunch of people. There was a different divide, and that divide was being created from that time leading up to now. But you almost missed that unity that people had from that, because, oh, it was an outside threat. Oh, but, and then you look at January 6th, oh, this was an inside threat. And then even some people argue 9/11 was an inside threat. But anyway, we were all able to unite it together because I guess it was an outside force that did it versus someone that was inside the country directly. And there are a lot of like still divided opinions on that and how it all goes. But from my memory from it, you had a lot of unification, a lot of people praying together. Like, basically all they could rely on was God. And that's where they turned in that time. So they always say never forget. And I think that's the one big thing that we should never forget, is kind of the things that we did after that, and maybe how we could apply it now versus how we're going about it today. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.